Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by McKeown, 2014. Part 1. Essence. What is the core mindset of an essentialist? You must first understand that essentialism is not about getting more done in less time. It is about getting only the right things done. The way of the essentialist is a disciplined, systematic approach to determining where your highest point of contribution lies, then making execution of those things almost effortless. If you do not prioritize your life, someone else will, and you risk making a millimeter of progress in a million directions. The essentialist mindset rests on three core truths. You have the invincible power of choice. Almost everything in life is noise, and you cannot have it all or do it all without facing trade-offs. This part establishes that the pursuit of more is undisciplined, while the pursuit of less done better is the path to what really matters. You must reclaim the power of choice, for it is the one thing you truly control. Many people suffer from learned helplessness, acting as if their choices are not choices at all, but obligations imposed by others. The non-essentialist says, "I have to," while the essentialist says, "I choose to." A choice is not a thing, it is an action, and you can choose how to spend your energy and time. When you forget your ability to choose, you give others permission to choose for you. You must recognize that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies your freedom to select the essential. You must learn to discern the vital few from the trivial many, understanding that almost everything is noise, and very few things are exceptionally valuable. The non-essentialist assumes that almost everything is essential, spreading themselves thinly across too many priorities. The essentialist operates with the extreme selectivity of applying the Pareto principle. 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. You need to train yourself to look for the signal in the noise, to distinguish what truly matters from what merely seems urgent. This discernment is not natural. It must be cultivated through practice and patience, learning to see that most of what exists in your life has no right to exist there. You must accept the reality of trade-offs, for you cannot have it all or do it all without giving something up. The non-essentialist tries to avoid trade-offs, asking how they can do everything, which leads to spreading themselves too thin. The essentialist sees trade-offs as inherent to life, asking not, "What do I have to give up?" but "Which problem do I want to solve? And what can I go big on?" Saying yes to any opportunity by definition requires saying no to several others. When you acknowledge that trade-offs exist, you stop asking how to fit everything in and start asking which problems are truly worth solving with your finite time and energy. Part 2. Explore. How can you discern the trivial many from the vital few? You must create space to escape the noise of your daily life, for in order to have focus, you need to remove yourself from the constant demands on your attention. The non-essentialist is too busy doing to stop and think, while the essentialist deliberately creates space to explore what matters. This means scheduling time to be unavailable, to read, to think, to wander. Without escape, you cannot gain perspective, and without perspective, you cannot see what is essential. You need to carve out even an hour a day, a weekend a month, a week a year to simply be present with yourself and consider the bigger picture of your life and work. You must train yourself to look for what really matters, to see the lead beneath the surface of events and information. The non-essentialist listens while preparing to speak, distracted by extraneous noise and inconsequential details. The essentialist listens with the intent of finding the point, the essence, the core. You can cultivate this skill by keeping a journal to record insights, by getting out into the field to see reality firsthand, by clarifying the questions you are truly asking. Journaling is not about recording everything, but about training yourself to filter for what matters most, to find the pattern that explains the chaos. You must embrace play, for it is essential to exploration and creative insight. Play is not trivial. It is fundamental to living the way of the essentialist because it fuels exploration in at least 3 specific ways. It broadens your range of options, it relieves stress and allows your brain to rest, and it makes you more open to possibilities. During play, you become more flexible, creative, and willing to try new approaches. The non-essentialist sees play as unproductive, while the essentialist knows that play sparks the insights that lead to doing less but better. You must protect your sleep, for it is your greatest asset for making a contribution to the world. The non-essentialist thinks sleep is wasted time, that they can function on less, that sleep is a sign of weakness. The essentialist knows that sleep is what allows you to operate at your highest level of contribution, to achieve more in less time. Sleep deprivation compromises your ability to discern what is essential, to prioritize, to think clearly. When you protect your sleep, you protect the very instrument through which you make all your decisions. The best asset you have for making a contribution to the world is yourself, and you must not damage this asset through lack of rest. You must apply the power of extreme criteria to every opportunity and commitment you consider. The non-essentialist accepts anything that seems good enough, saying yes to everything that comes along. The essentialist applies a selective criteria so stringent that if the answer is not a definite yes, it is a no. As you evaluate an option, think about the single most important criterion for that decision and give the option a score between 0 and 100. If you rate it any lower than 90%, automatically change the rating to 0 and reject it. This may mean turning down very good options, but it ensures you save yourself for the perfect ones. The very act of applying extreme criteria forces you to choose which perfect opportunity to wait for, rather than letting others choose for you. Part 3. Eliminate. How can you cut out the trivial many? You must clarify your essential intent so completely that it becomes one decision that makes 1,000 subsequent decisions easier. The non-essentialist operates with a vague sense of purpose that provides no real guidance. The essentialist crafts a statement of purpose that is both concrete and inspiring, meaningful and memorable. When you have true clarity about what you are trying to achieve, you eliminate the need to deliberate over every small choice. From pretty clear to really clear is the journey you must take, because only with real clarity can you fully mobilize and achieve something truly excellent. Your essential intent should answer the question, if you could do only one thing with your life, what would it be? You must dare to say no gracefully but firmly, for without courage, the disciplined pursuit of less is just lip service. The non-essentialist says yes to avoid social discomfort, then resents the commitment later. The essentialist understands that a clear no can be more graceful than a vague or non-committal yes. You can separate the decision from the relationship by recognizing that you are declining the request, not rejecting the person. Remember that everyone is selling something, an idea, an opinion, an agenda, in exchange for your time. When you say no, you are not being mean, you are being honest about your limits. Respect is far more valuable than popularity in the long run, and people will ultimately respect you more for your clarity. You must uncommit from previous decisions that no longer serve you, winning big by cutting your losses. The non-essentialist stays committed out of pride, fearing that admitting failure or wasted effort will make them look bad. The essentialist asks, if I were not already invested in this project, how much would I invest in it now? You can pretend you do not own it yet to evaluate its true value. You can run a reverse pilot, removing an activity to see if anyone notices or anything negative occurs. You can get over the fear of waste by recognizing that sunk costs are sunk. Throwing good time after bad does not recover what is already spent. Admitting failure is the beginning of success, and cutting your losses frees you to invest in what truly matters. You must edit your life and commitments with the same ruthless precision an editor brings to a manuscript. The non-essentialist adds more, believing more is better. The essentialist subtracts, knowing that making things better means removing elements that distract from the core purpose. You can edit by cutting out options that diffuse your focus, by condensing multiple activities into one essential effort, by correcting course when you drift from your intent, and by editing less, resisting the temptation to add your 2 cents to everything that crosses your path. The invisible art of editing creates space for what matters by eliminating what does not. You must set limits to create freedom, establishing boundaries that protect your ability to focus on the essential. The non-essentialist believes boundaries are restrictive and tries to please everyone. The essentialist sees boundaries as liberating, as the only way to maintain control of their choices. You can craft social contracts by stating clearly what you want to achieve and what matters to you. You can set rules in advance that eliminate the need for direct no's in the moment. Remember that someone else's problem is not automatically your problem, and rescuing people from their problems may rob them of the opportunity to solve them. Boundaries are not walls to keep others out, but filters to let the right things in. Part 4. Execute. How can you make doing the essential almost effortless? You must build in buffers for unexpected events because things take longer than you expect, and life rarely goes exactly as planned. The non-essentialist assumes everything will go smoothly and is constantly scrambling when surprises occur. The essentialist practices extreme and early preparation, adding 50% to their time estimates and conducting scenario planning to anticipate obstacles. A buffer protects you from the tyranny of the urgent, giving you space to handle the unexpected without abandoning the essential. When you build in buffers, you reduce stress and increase your capacity to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. You must subtract obstacles rather than adding more effort, recognizing that the fastest way to achieve your goal is often to remove what is blocking progress. The non-essentialist responds to challenges by trying harder, pushing more. The essentialist asks, what is getting in the way of achieving what is essential? Identify the slowest hiker in the group and improve their pace first. Be clear about your essential intent, then look for the bottlenecks, the friction points, the things that slow you down. Removing obstacles often produces greater results than adding more force, and it requires less energy in the long run. You must harness the power of small wins, for the primary internal motivators are achievement and recognition for achievement. The non-essentialist waits for the big breakthrough, the dramatic transformation that rarely comes. The essentialist starts small, knowing that a small, concrete win creates momentum and affirms faith in further success. Focus on minimal, valuable progress rather than heroic leaps. Start early and small, not late and big. Visually reward your progress, celebrating each step forward. Small wins compound into significant results, and the motivation they generate makes continuing almost effortless. You must create routines that make essential execution automatic, designing a flow that enshrines what matters in your daily life. The non-essentialist relies on willpower and discipline, which are finite resources. The essentialist designs routines that reduce the need for decision-making and self-control. Identify the triggers that lead to your best behaviors and create new ones. Tackle your routines one by one, overhauling them to support what is essential. Do the most difficult thing first, when your energy is highest. The right routine makes the essential path the path of least resistance, so you can achieve more by doing less consciously. You must focus on what is important now, bringing your full attention to the present moment, rather than being pulled between past regrets and future anxieties. The non-essentialist multitasks, believing they can focus on everything at once, but multitasking is possible without multi-focusing. You cannot truly attend to more than one thing. The essentialist practices the ancient concept of kairos, living fully in the now. Get the future out of your head by writing down what you need to remember later. Prioritize ruthlessly by asking in each moment, what is important now? When you focus completely on what is in front of you, you do it better, faster, and with more satisfaction. You must commit to becoming an essentialist in every dimension of your life, integrating the discipline so deeply that it becomes who you are. The essentialist life is not about one more thing to do, but about a new way of doing everything. When others are speaking, you will be listening. When others are saying yes, you will be saying no. When others are doing, you will be thinking. You will live a life of impact and fulfillment, fully embracing the way of the essentialist. You will always ask, what is essential? Eliminate everything else and pursue less but better. In doing so, you will regain control, find clarity, and live a life that really matters. To show love and appreciation, like, share, and subscribe.